In example number 4, we're going to be continuing with the square root property. And so take a look at problem A right here. Here we have x minus 5 quantity squared. Okay, and that equals 36. So normally in our square root property problems, the number that we've been squaring has always been a single variable, like like x squared equals 9, or like x squared equals 25. Now it's x minus 5 quantity squared. Okay, and the word quantity just means that that's all in parentheses. Okay, so but we can still do the square root property when we have more than maybe I guess you could say one term inside of what's being squared. So for example, if I wanted to solve for x here, I can, so I want to get rid of my squared. Okay, so we're going to do the same property as we were doing for the previous problems. The opposite of squaring is square root. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Okay, so the squared crosses out with the square root because they're opposite operations. And I get x minus 5 equals, now the square root of 36 is 6, but remember, since we were the ones who introduced the square root, we always have to then tack on our plus or minus 6. Okay? All right, now we have one last step if we're going to solve for x here. I'm going to go ahead and add 5 to both sides. Okay, and I'm adding 5 because I want to always do the opposite operation of subtracting 5. Okay, so those guys are gone. What the? So x equals, now watch how this works here. The plus or minus is always going to go last, and so whatever we added or subtracted will go first, so it'll be 5 plus or minus 6. Okay, so that's our final answer, but to give it a little more context, so this means two answers. That's what that whole plus or minus thing's all about. It means that we have two answers. So these two answers literally mean 5 plus 6, so 11, and then this also means 5 minus 6, or negative 1. You say, which one's correct? They're all correct right here. Okay, this notation is a representation of these two answers, right? If I do 5 plus 6, I get 11. If I do 5 minus 6, I get negative 1. So this is a cool way of writing two answers all in one statement here. But this is just the extended version now, is when you take both of these guys and you actually add it and then you subtract it. But so this just means these are the two answers, and this is the condensed version of that. Okay, let's do one more here. We can solve this by using the square root property again. Again, let's get rid of that square, so I could take the square roots, right? So that square and square root cancel, and I get x minus 3 equals plus or minus, because we introduced the square root, 16, which is 4, right? And then again, we're going to do the opposite of subtracting 3, so I'm going to add 3 to both sides of our equal sign. All right, and those are like, what the? So x equals, we put the plus or minus always goes last, and we're going to put the constant number here first, so we'll do 3 plus or minus 4. Okay, and again, you can just leave it like that, that's fine. But if you're required to state what are the actual two answers, then you would need to write, okay, so that's actually is 7, and then 3 minus 4, negative 1. Okay, so in your assessments, they may actually ask what are the two answers. You're gonna have to put 7 and negative 1, or if you can do the plus and minus, then you can do it as 3 plus or minus 4.